Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you always with the blessings of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray for each and every one of you in that you will continue to accept and receive the blessings, the knowledge, and the healing from the Creator. Now, the topic for this little conversation, as I put in the title block, Con-FUSION-ism. Now, it is a take on Confucianism, but easy for me to say. Um, the old Chinese type proverb thing, okay, Confucius. Now, it seems that we pretty much, all of us, realize now that we are in a state of confusion. It started back in the 60s. Actually, it started before, but it just seems like there's been a certain type of unrest in the world that seems to be brought about by people who think they know what's best for us. And so, in so doing, they create confusion for us every single time. Hello, Miss Melanie. Blessings to you, my dear. Greetings from South Georgia. So, as I'm always looking through the headlines and checking out stories and things, what seems to be the commonality of things is the confusion. And even people who are trying to, I don't know, bring a reality into some of the confusion, they themselves, it seems, end up being confused themselves. I myself am one of them. I look at something and go, well, wait a minute, now that's not what I understand. Then later on you hear something else and this and that. Wait a minute. No, I've got some long-term information on some things, and it still seems to be holding true about the Catholic Church and more than anything else. But in that realisms and things are coming out. And with the Notre Dame Cathedral burning the other night, that was an unbelievable sight. But in so many ways, in Catholic prophecy, that had to come about. Now, I know this is really strange, confusing, and to some folks who, my being raised in the early Catholic Church back in the 60s and until 1970. But I don't know what they teach now, so I can't compare what we learned back then as to what they're teaching now. Just saying. But we were taught strict Catholic doctrine. Not Bible, but strict Catholic doctrine. So Catholicism is not necessarily at all about the Bible and or Jesus, but it's all about the Crusades and who the popes were and who the saints were. And so in the world of Catholicism, the religion is the religion. It's not the Bible. Now, they read from the Bible and they talk about Jesus, but it's all about the religion itself. It's not about Jesus. Oh, he's in there, and they hang him on the cross in their churches and stuff. And they got statues of Mother Mary and Joseph and, and pretty pictures of angels and things. But it's really all about the church. It's about the religion itself and the doctrine of the church. So now it seems, and most of us have been watching this and understand it, they keep us in a state of confusion. One day this is a hot topic, the next day it's not. So the religion now has become not about the Catholics or the Protestants or even really about the Muslims anymore. It seems that the new religion is our confusion. And the more we stay confused about everything, even about our own selves, then in that you say, good afternoon, Cherry. Hello to you back. I saw that. It's like Tigger to Pooh, hello. Anyway, but trying to stick with the topic of the day as it is, everything is confusion multiplied. So it's like the Mueller report. That's just the topic for right now. Not that I'm really interested in it. I've said my piece in another video. Yellow, LOL. Yes, I don't know how to make that noise. Maybe that's what LOL sounds like. Anyway, I'm in a peaky mood today, I guess. I went to the river yesterday and communicated some more with the water and the spirits. Yes, too much confusion. Now, back in the 60s, I'm trying to I can hear the song rolling around in my head, and I can't remember the group, but it was Ball of Confusion, da 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 da, Ball of Confusion, and that was back in the 60s. But the thing is, this Ball of Confusion, it kind of died down. Things went a little undergroundish, but now this Ball of Confusion is like back up and sprang up, and it seems to be. And I'm using the term religion because everybody is watching it religiously. They're paying attention to these things religiously. Oh, something else happened. Oh, it's the apocalypse. Oh, we're all going to die again. We're not dead yet, are we? Some of us are, and I don't mean to be rude about that, but, that's part of life. And so, but this confusion, oh, I don't know. Oh, are we going to make it through here? We're going to make it. If we band together and stick together as human beings, we will. If we try to stay in their state of confusion, we're not going to make it. Now, I'm a self-professed hermit in that, I stay on my property most of the time. And it's not that I don't want to engage with other people. But yesterday I was out and about again and looking around and going, there are just some things like 3 months ago, there was nothing in this field. And now there's a parking lot and a building and there's customers. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's good for business. But I realized, though, that in the establishments that I've been in, with the people that I bump into in the stores and here and there, people aren't agitated against one another. I keep looking for like the mass majority, 40% of people to just be pissed off all the time and rude to one another. If you listen to the news, we're all at each other's throats. The religion of confusion has run amok. That's an inside joke. But anyway, about the Catholics, run amok. You go crazy and you run amok. Never mind. But with that said, though, when I go out and meet people, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video about my trip to a powwow and how kind and generous everybody there was, or were. They were, I guess, it sounds better. But to the idea that even, there were cans all over the place. There wasn't a cigarette butt on the ground anywhere. Everybody used these cans all throughout the powwow. And how everybody just got along. And I'm like, I come home and I read through the news and everybody's at each other's throats and it's all confusion. We want to kill each other. Suicide rate is up, which is true, I might add. Suicide rate is up. And I absolutely, positively believe it has to do with the ball of confusion, the new religion, because suicide seems to be the way out for them. And what I mean is you get so confused, you have no idea who you are spiritually, morally, mentally. People are going into this, well, we're all part of the digital matrix. No, I was on the river yesterday. There's no way I could have been a participant of the digital matrix. I was on the river in a kayak in nature, and I'm hoping I'll be able to upload that little video I took just so you can see what it looks like down there. But snakes in the water and fishing and 3 or 4 different types of birds. I saw egrets. Egret. Anyway, I'll talk about that another time. But what I saw was in the wild. Then I left the wild and 8 miles down the road went to town. So I left around here. The swamp is right outside of town, most towns anyway. And so you can get back to ancient history by being with the planet, by being in touch with the earth and these grand old 150, 200-year-old oak trees and pine trees that are just so big around. They're enormous. And to see what the types of things. And then in one section, there had been a tornado cut through, and you could see some of these monstrous trees twisted, torn, broken in half. And I mean oak trees that are literally 100-something feet tall and cross a creek and then and stick out into the river. Unbelievable. Twisted, torn, broken in half. And I think, well, there's Mother Nature, both in the trees that it grows and also with the power of the wind and of nature and that kind of thing. We had a bunch of tornadoes come through here that last little front we had. And oh my God, there are trees down in one section of the river down there where we were at yesterday. Unbelievable. But in that, I'm saying that right outside of town, where digital reality exists, you go in, your order's on the thing, and you get a little blah, 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 and everybody's looking at. Now, I got to say, there were people that had their cell phones, but they were actually talking to one another, which I kind of found a little astounding in a very good way, because in this ball of confusion that the mainstream and what others seem to want to portray to us is that every single one of us is caught up in this crap. And it's just not true. Now, there may be areas of the country where there's more of this going on. I would absolutely agree with that. And here's my thing about that, though. If there's some negative energy anywhere and somebody else comes in contact with them and it rubs off and then they get agitated, then that agitation can grow. And without a conscious effort, that negativism or that agitation can grow into, malice, hate, just other kinds of things, and be on the opposite end of the scale other than good positive energy. And it can affect people without their knowing about it. It's not necessarily MK Ultra, but Breaking Dawn, I see you in there, so I can bring you up. We were discussing this a couple of days ago about the Stanford experiments, where they took, I don't know, let's just say 20 people. 10 people were guards and 10 people were inmates. And by the end of 2 weeks, they had to call it off. The things had gone very much awry. And people who seem to have power seem to also take on this air of authority. I'm better than you. I've spoke about this before. But it is very common, and it's almost socially acceptable in that, well, now that I'm the manager, I can boss all you people around. No, and I've never looked at, and I've been manager of hot dog stands and hamburger joints back in the day. We used to run the carnival, and I used to run I was short order cook. And, at one time in 4 hours, I did almost 1,000 hamburgers by myself, grilling them, chilling them, and putting them on buns, but so I understand about these kinds of things. But the thing, my managerial skills was like, look, yes, I'm the boss because we need a common point of view. But if I try to boss you around and then stand back, that ain't going to work. I will get in there because I used to be an employee and now I am the manager. So I know what it's like to be you. So when I became in charge of anything, I always remembered I used to be that person. And now I'm the person in charge. How would I like to be treated? So in my directorial type of style, there are still people who say, Mr. Dave, you had one of the best directorial styles because I coaxed things out of people. I didn't holler and yell. There were times I had to put my foot down, but that was very seldom. And there are people, still folks, especially the younger kids who are now grown, going, I thank you for your, allowing me to, be an actor in your play. And I still remember how you treated us, and you treated us all as equals. And even people who'd never been on stage, I treated as equals because they wanted to try out, they wanted to do it. So I saw something in them. Anyway, I'm getting off the topic. But to the point of this confusion, everything is now so confused. We don't know whether it's right or wrong or in or out or up or down. And the things that, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago that used to resonate with me is just like the absolute opposite right now. And so, and being a prayer warrior and being a watchman, as that's my job, and a spokesperson about some of these things. Let's keep each other aware of some of these things that are going on. And one of the biggest things that I got when I was on the river yesterday and asking with spirit and angels and just nature, show me what we need to do. How do we continue to get out of this mess? From a natural point of view, what do we do? And what nature told me yesterday, again, was a follow-up in that we need to do what's natural to us. And if we have a natural, if you have a natural propensity to want to go around and kill things, not where I'm going with this, but if you have a natural propensity to want to, I don't know, make clothes, play music, do so, and do so without expectations. Because one of the things that is part of our confusion is, and Breaking Dawn and I discussed this as well, and I want to bring this up as another topic, but what we expect. So we pray to God and we pray to help us get out of this confusion. But in our prayers, maybe Creator's already shown us what we need to do. Maybe the answer is already here for a lot of people, but because they can't see the forest for the trees, and they don't see any of the trees, and that's for another discussion. But in this religiousness of confusionism, let's all stick together and say, hey, let's continue this idea that we are a league of like-minded beings, that there are so many things already here, but many folks just don't understand what it means. So they're praying to the Creator and they're praying to God, and maybe Creator's already given them the answer, but from the person's point of view, they expected something else. But maybe, it's like the story I've told about the guy, the flood's coming. He's on his front porch with sandbags. A big truck goes by. They ask him, come on. He says, no, I'm God's going to save me. Okay. Now the water comes up and a boat comes by. God's going to save me. Next time he's on his roof, a helicopter comes by and they say, come on. No, the guy says, God's going to save me. In the next frame, you see, guess what? He's standing at the pearly gates. And he goes, well, how come God didn't save me? And St. Peter says, he sent you a truck, he sent you a boat and a helicopter. What do you mean? God tried 3 times to save you. So we have to keep this in mind. There may be something staring right at you in the confusion that's the answer to all that. And one of them is notice that there's a lot of confusion. Try to stay out of it. Be an observer without being a participant. So you keep your energy out of the confusion. They can only stir it up so much. And, it's not like I linger around town all the time, but in driving around and seeing people, there's not even people honking their horns the way they were. They're not people cutting each other off in traffic. Now, I know I live in a rural community and it's different, but people still get ticked off around here, or used to. But I've noticed a definite change. And it's just calmer. With all of the craziness, it seems like there are a lot of people who are just, I don't know, I think they have decided that they've been confused so long that they just they're not paying any attention. They just, oh, well, all that crap up there's going on. Okay, I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to go to Walmart, or I'm going to go out to eat at Whataburger, and we're going to have a meal, and we're all going to be pleasant with one another. And then we're going to go home and we're going to watch a movie. And what's really wrong with that? Nothing. If that's what their life is and that they have the provisions to do it, they're not hurting anybody else, then what's to say that their vision of what life is, or what is, quote, expected of them in the universe, if that's their world and they're functioning just fine, should we jump in there and try to confuse the issue? Well, that's what these other folk are trying to do. They're trying to keep this confusion so confusing, and that some people are, well, in some cases, they're literally jumping off of buildings. But in that, they're trying to jump ship, if you will. So, rats on a sinking ship, last one off's a rotten egg, and so do we want to be caught up in that? So, in all of my wanderings and lookings and things, I notice this and I go, they're trying to start a new religion here because people have to religiously look up what's happening next. Notre Dame. Well, that lady got killed. Well, I'm not saying that's a good thing or they don't know what happened. I wasn't following on it. I was just like, her name kept popping up on the news. And now today, this news is they found her dead in Colorado. Some lady Columbine something. That's all I know. But my point is, there's more confusion. Did they send her out there? Was she mind controlled? Is she an asset? Who knows? But the thing is, it's a strange story. You got to admit. Regardless of what it is, you got to admit it's strange. Guess what? They're adding to the confusion. Why does woman do this? Well, she put it on Facebook, blah, 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 blah. More confusion. I'm not saying it's not important or that the person, whatever, that's not my issue. My issue is watch how they twist this and play this and draw out the confusion. To try to draw different, she got to Colorado and bought a gun. Well, if she could legally do it and she paid for it, then there you go. But at the same point, it's like, now it's going to be guns. Now, there goes Facebook again. There we go. Now she's a female white terrorist or something. They're going to come up with something to keep the ball rolling on this because the Mueller report has lost steam. All this other kind of crap has lost steam. They have to have something else to throw into the confusion pile, to keep it going, to draw that negative energy off of us as much as they can. Their plan is failing because we are waking up and going, okay, I see that it happened. Prayers to the people involved, but you cannot have my emotions. I refuse to attach myself with any kind of negative. I'm not going to sit down and cry about it. I'm not going to send off a flourish of emails. I'm kind of doing a video about it, but not on a particular subject. It's about all of them. Okay. I do think the Cathedral of Notre Dame is a horrific thing. But when I saw it burn, I was like, do you know? I burned things. I had a pile of stuff out in my backyard. It was a big pile of stuff, wood and this, and I used a little gas to get it started because some of it was green. And it burned high up big time. And 20 minutes later, there was nothing but ashes. Now, my question is, what the hell was inside that cathedral that burned that long, that hot, that high? Just a question. Just a question, because it requires fuel to have a fire. What the hell was on the floor of that cathedral that would burn that long, that hot, with flames that high? Ask that question. Just saying. Was it an inside job? We may never know the answer to that one, but my point to that is, look how high the flames are. Look how long they last. Think about if you've ever made a campfire. If you want flames to fly up that high, you got to have some logs. You got to have something to burn. You got to have fuel for it. What fueled that fire in Notre Dame? More confusion. And not to say, but there are people praying for the church. Well, okay, but why don't we pray for people? It is just a building. I hate to say it. I mean, I did one of my first architectural free drawings was of the Notre Dame Cathedral. So I'm being Catholic, but as an architectural marvel, I still marvel at its architecture. But to the point, though, it's like, should we pray for the building? I mean, seriously. What about the people? What about the poor people? What about the homeless and the hungry? They're going to pray for the church itself? Okie dokie, if you want to go there. But you see, that's where I mean with the confusion. But there are so many people who are, well, we're going to go down to the church and pray for the church. It's a building. It's a building. It's a building. Pray for souls. Pray for people. Pray for world peace. pray the damn thing don't fall down and hurt anybody. Okie dokie. But no, they're praying for the what? So think of all the energy that's being wasted on masonry, wood, stone, when they could be praying for peace on the planet. Just saying, more confusion. So where do we want to be in this? And I say, keep a hand's distance away from it. Don't let them have your energy. Keep your energy out of this, y'all. You know I love you. I do. That's why I bring these little warnings out and have these little discussions. And it really isn't about me, but it is about, hey, let's keep paying attention to this, because they're trying to draw us back in. They're trying to suck us back into their game every time we turn around. On April 15th. Oh, that was, IRS day. Oops. A lot of stuff happens on April 15th. And back over the years, been some weird stuff happen on the 15th. Gematria? I don't know. Just saying, you got to scratch your head and wonder. But the idea is with the yellow vest thing, if maybe they burnt the damn cathedral because they wanted to stop the yellow vest protest. What? Well, they wouldn't do that, would they? Why not? These people are crazy. They took down, the Twin Towers. These people are nuts, and then they want to, say that it's you and I are the conspiracy theorists. Well, Building 7, it took longer for Building 7 to fall than it did the Twin Towers. Think about that, anyway. But so all of the confusion that's coming out and around and back and through, it's the new religion. If you are constantly, and I'm part of this, okay? I have to check the headlines and different things every day because I'm a watchman. But I realize that they can't have my energy, and they used to get some of it, So I'm warning you because of my own self-peril, Whoa, my God, there goes the cathedral. Wait a minute, hang on, gotta back up. One of my favorite cathedrals gotta back up. Can't get in this. Gotta sit back and observe this from a third person point of view. I, me, mine, but anyway, I just wanted to come out and have a chat with y'all. Melanie, Michelle, is that right? Let me, here are my glasses. I was sitting here taking a rest from the garden. It's it's warmer outside than it was yesterday. And yesterday was my longest kayak paddle that I've had ever, I think, especially on this stretch of the Ochlockonee River. It was beautiful, but my arms and shoulders are tired. And I'm almost 67, and I've actually gone farther than I have in my previous years. So when people say, well, I don't know about this healing of the universe stuff, Hawkeye, sounds like a bunch of horse crack to me. And I go, well, I'm 66 and a half-ish and towards 3/4. And I actually should be weaker, shouldn't I? Well, I just went the longest trip down the river and back in several hours. I mean, we were steady paddling. We took a break here and there, but it was a kayak trip. But to the point, though, I just kept thinking, the energy of the water, the energy of the water. Every time I wanted to throw that damn paddle down and say, nah, I'm taking a break, I just kept thinking, no, the energy of the water is helping to power me. The energy of the universe. And I just got into the the stroke, double paddle, and it's like, yes, I'm sore, but I'm alive, and I feel really good for the exercise that I put in. But in that saying, the older I get, it almost seems like I'm getting stronger because of all the head injuries and things I've had in the past. So my ending little thing about this then is stay out of the confusion. Keep an eye on it. Don't allow it to become your new religion where I got to know where the next thing is, or I got to keep an eye on this, or you become so fanatical about something that you lose your own place in your own soul, in your own world, in your whatever your paradigm is. But every time they come in and try to do this confusion thing and get you to believe this, believe that, believe this, believe that, believe. Hang on, just let them sit back and bicker about it. You want the truth, so do I. But sometimes bickering about it and jumping the gun on going, well, I think this is hang on. The angel message has been, and I will reiterate this to you all, is that when you see something and you want to react, count to 20, because 10's not going to get it. You got to count to 20 and you got to stick to it. Count to 20, because when you get to 10, you're going to realize, okay, I'm still counting and I haven't reacted to that. In the next 10 counts, you can actually come to realize, wait a minute, that's probably not a good idea, what I was fixing to do. And so remark on things, but always try to stay on the positive side. If something's really horrible, then just send out a prayer. Keep it simple, stupid. Use the KISS theory, Well, actually, I think we should change stupid to something else, but keep it simple, period. Keep it simple, silly. There, that sounds better. Don't be silly about that nonsense. We have to be serious. Yes, we do. But at the same time, if we let this seriousness and the confusion overtake our lives, it's stealing our energy, even when we're not aware of it. And I'm going to do another video about attachments and walk-ins and things like that. I'm going to try to get Breaking Dawn to kind of sort of co-host with me. At least she'll be in the chat, I'm hoping. But I want to say to you that in closing with this, though, there is a lot of really good energy out there, and we have to just find it. If you're looking for negative energy, you can find it. If you just allow your own energy to find like energy, it will. Now, you'll brush up. And the reason I say that, over the last couple of days and going into town, into the store, I've been bumping into folks, just strangers, and we're just having conversations out of nowhere. Well, where, you mean you've been fishing? Yeah, we're at blah, blah, blah. Just the idea is that strangers are talking to strangers like we're old friends. I noticed that when I was over at the powwow, but I kind of expected it because of the nature of things of Native Americans powwows and that thing. But I'm finding it just out and about. And because I've been a hermit for a while and I haven't been able to drive myself, when I get out and about and I see and talk with people, and other people come up and talk with me. I mean, I know I'm a weird looking old man, but it's like, you want to start a conversation with me? Go ahead. But I find it interesting, though, that they want to come and have a conversation with me, regardless of what it may be. So that's all interesting. There is healing out there. I think there is less confusion than they're really trying to promote, is part of my reason for doing this. I think there's a lot more positive out there than they're absolutely even willing to admit. I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go to town. I'm just going to find a bunch of people who want to shoot each other and beat each other up. I mean, we do live in South Georgia with a bunch of rednecks, and nope, it's not like that at all. I mean, to what, okay, and don't take offense to this, but this was slavery haven down here with the big plantations back in the day. They still have plantations. You can go to the plantations and take the tours and still see some of these slave homes that are still on these big plantations, big, beautiful, like one of the staircases in one of these plantations down here that was in the movie Scarlett O'Hara, wait a minute. Yeah. Rhett Butler, the blah, 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 and the staircase. It's down here in South Georgia. And so this is how that was back in the day. And the thing is, it's like, well, you expect, well, there, a bunch of people, gangs and stuff like that. No, folks have cleaned up. I mean, what used to be the fad of the pants hanging down and the drawers sticking out, that people just gave up on that. Now there's a few of them in the hood, but it used to be like prevalent. And it's like all the cultures, not just the blacks, all the cultures have grown up somehow. I think it's great. I absolutely do. a little bit of self-image. Well, wait a minute. If I'm going to work like this, do I really want my pants hanging down? Is this the self-image I want? No, I'm going to be out in public. So there may be a lot of confusion. There may be, I'm sure there's still contention between people, but what I've noticed is that it's not what they're trying to tell us. Not everywhere. Maybe it's just rural Georgia. Maybe it's not just rural Georgia. There are a lot of places around that in the towns, bad spots. Oh yeah. Crack cocaine. Oh yeah. And I can't believe it, but heroin's a big deal down here. I mean, heroin overdoses, heroin addicts down here. Oh my God. But with that said, though, and some of these people are lost, and I don't know if they're ever coming back because they have given up hope. But that's a self-choice. It's their own bad decisions, So if you get on crack and then you don't have any money, and then you sell for yourself as a prostitute, and then something happens, or you've got to, you got to get your crank on, and you break in somebody's house, and you burglarize, and you become a burglar because of the addiction. Well, that's not good. But if you'd stayed off of it, if you hadn't went there to begin with, and yes, I used to have addictions. So I can speak about this because I have an addictive personality, not like I used to, but to the point though that I know where this is coming from. And those people who tried to help me at a couple of times in my life, I got this. I'm in control. Hindsight says I really didn't have control of the situation. I really didn't. But I wasn't out on the street breaking into people's houses. I mean, I kept a job, and I worked 2 jobs. That was the reason for the crack and the crank and all that, was to keep me awake so I could work 2 jobs, work 16 hours a day and stay awake. Probably why I sleep so much now. But with that said, though, when I take myself out of that equation, when I understand that, wait a minute, things can change. Several years ago, I was in a wheelchair drooling, couldn't do anything. And now yesterday, I went on the longest paddle that I can remember, down and back. Wow, several miles and back. And if you'd told me a month ago that I would have been able to do that, I'd have said, nah, I got to get back on the water. Well, I have been on the water only a couple of times since yesterday, but the energy and the faith I put in the universe, the faith I had to put in my own self, man, you got this. I know, but my arms hurt. Well, so if you quit paddling, you're still going to hurt. Weird things go through my brain when I'm in a situation. And I can't say that it was a survival situation, but if I'm going to get back to the truck where we left our water like dummies, we were thirsty and ready for a break. Left our munchies in the truck, jumped in the kayaks and hauled ass for 4 hours downstream. And, like, where's the water? I don't know. Didn't you bring it? No, it's not in your kayak. Oh, crap. But anyway, we made it, we didn't die. It wasn't like, oh my God, I don't have any water. Well, but we didn't die of thirst, Yeah, we needed to hydrate, but to the point of all these other things that people will convince you, well, you went down there and back and all you had was like 1 soda. Yeah. All those hours, didn't you get thirsty? Yeah, we forgot the water. But we didn't die. We didn't, oh my God, yes, we were thirsty, kind of lick your lips. And the old thing as a Boy Scout, Cub Scout was put a penny in your mouth. And well, for a lot of reasons now I could understand the copper, but it was something that you could like create some saliva around, and it would literally help you not be so thirsty, especially if you're on a long hike and you only got a limited amount of water. And so, but anyway, but to the point though, with all of this confusion and the healing and thinking above what the situation was, we survived. It was okay, didn't die. I'm sore, but I'm not like, oh, I can't move. I'm never going to do that again. No, if anything, it gave me more impetus to say, the older I get, I'm just going to keep getting younger. I've decided to turn my clock backwards. Why should I? Oh, well, okay, I'll be 67 in a couple of months. Okay, so I used to be in a wheelchair when I was 62. Does that mean that I should stay in a wheelchair the rest of my natural born life? Oh, hell no. So I've already proved to myself that I can get up out of a wheelchair from the nasty situation and become a walking, talking, kayaking fool again, but you got to have faith in yourself. I had to draw on the energy of the universe yesterday. That last 30 minutes, I was really like, oh, please take this from me. And then when I got back into still water, I stopped and took a deep breath and said my prayers to Creator. And then I did a power finish across the lake up to the landing. My friend said, man, you really did that quick. And I was like, anytime if you're racing, running, I used to run track. And at the end, you always got to try to save some for that last push. Well, for 5.5 hours on the river, I took 2 minutes and gave it my last little hard push just to prove that I could. Wasn't in a race with anybody, but I just wanted to prove it myself that if I needed that extra boost for a couple of minutes, that I still had the energy. I'd said my prayers, hands in the water to the universe, pray for peace, pray for my friends, pray for all. And let me get to how fast can I get to the shore? A tired old 67-year-old crazy man, how fast can I get back? Just for the hell of it, a race with myself, I guess. But what did it prove? It proved that I'm still alive today. I'm sore as hell. I got to tell you, I'm sore. But it's a good sore. It's not like I've sat around all day and got a crick in my back sore. Nah, I got the whole voyage of the river under me. But anyway, with that, the healing is all around us. Creator shows us what we can have, what's already there. The answer might be right in front of you. But do we expect too much? Do we see what we need, or do we expect something more? If Creator sends us a big truck when the flood comes and you go, nah, I'm going to wait, then that may have been your chance. That may have been the ticket in that particular instance. So it may be a small blessing that comes your way that will turn into a big one. It may be something that you've been staring at for the longest time. And you just go, I didn't see it because of the confusion. So stop, take a breath. Know that when you look at the forest, all you see are trees. But if you try to pick out one tree in the middle of the forest, then that takes concentration. That takes emotional. Wait a minute, what's different about that tree? Well, I don't know. It's in a forest. I can't tell the difference. Well, when you're in the swamp and surrounded by trees, you have to be able to use trees as your way of navigation, because there aren't mountains. There's no other, if you don't know where you're looking. So I always look for the tallest pine trees. I always look for tall, so there's all these other river willows and birch and so forth down there. And they only reach a certain height. So if I'm lost in the swamp, I have to watch the trees. I have to watch other things. Otherwise, you get your butt lost quick. You'll be down in a thingy and around and won't know where you're at and get twisted around if you don't pay attention. So, but to the point, though, I can spot trees in the forest as well as looking at the forest. Some people can only see the forest and can't spot those trees that are important. It may be that one tree that's the answer, but I can't see it. I can't see it. There's a forest there. I can't see it. Well, just stop. Chill out. Chill out. And allow your own soul to go, maybe there's something out there I need to pay. Maybe it's right in front of me. What is it? So when you stay out of the confusion, you can hear your own heartbeat. When you stay out of the confusion, You stay in with yourself. You maintain your core energy. You maintain your own aura, your own self. But when you let that stuff out into that religion of Confucianism, see, I did bring it back around. I'm kind of crazy that way, I know. Let me read some of your comments. I've been trying not to look because Spirit said I had a message about this I needed to convey to you. And that, we need to understand, yeah, there's some crazy crap out there, but the bottom line, there's a lot of us good people out there. We need to focus on that. There are a lot of good people out there. Some of them are cranky, some are got some issues, okie dokie. But by and by, they may be cranky, but are they committing mass murder? Do they want to harm anybody? No, they're cranky because they're confused. But the people I've noticed that have like turned off Facebook, or, I don't do that anymore. And I feel better for not, I spend more time in my garden outside. Oh, really? Yeah, because I just, Facebook was becoming a bore. Oh, really? So your choice was to what? I started going outside and sitting on the porch. Whoa. And now you feel better? Yeah. So they have removed themselves from the digital matrix. So does that mean if they turn off Facebook and only check email and a few things, does that make them still part of the matrix, where these same people would sit for 6 or 8 hours per day and farm and play games and do the Facebook thing? And now they said, I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. Whatever it's done to my brain, overload, it's no longer important. Don't know. But they're not doing it anymore. Instead, they're sitting on the front porch, at least watching nature or other people. They're having conversations. And so I want to continue to say, hey, y'all, I think we're winning. I do. I feel it in my bones. Every time they try to spout some more, oh, we're all against each other. No. The wars that are going on are trying to keep people from keeping the confusion going. Let's stop the confusion, please. So, with that said, Cherry, how are you? I'm beginning to do that. Messenger a few friends. Absolutely. Left the water home. Oh, yeah. My name came from Gone with the Wind. Absolutely, Melanie. Yeah, Gone with the Wind. That's the thank you. I was naming Maureen O'Hara or whatever I said. So I think she was the actress. Yes, Cherry. I always learn endurance, and that's one of the things I've tried to teach other people when they're with me in the swamp. And it's like this young fella is half my age that went with me yesterday. He was huffing and a puffing, boy. And I was like, come on, man, I'm twice as old as you and I pass you. Well, I know, well, I'm a little bigger. And I'm like, no, you're out of shape and you're trying to, well, I'm big and I sit dirt. Come on. That ain't got nothing to do with it, But to your point, though, I've understood about endurance for a long time. Yesterday, we went a little too far downstream and the river narrowed. When it's really nice and broad and everything, the current's really not bad going back upstream. But where we had reached a certain part of the river yesterday, which I had not been down, I literally had gone into a new area of the river I hadn't gone before. It was a lot narrower, and man, that speed was 3 times as fast as on the other on the other side of this bridge we went under. But to the point, though, and it took us downstream. Oh, we're having fun, la-di-da-di-da. But when we turned around to come back through that same section, we were humping it. Huff, huff, huff. So it was more than just endurance and the length. But to your point, yes, Terry, I agree with you. But endurance is always in it for me. If I go outside and get hot, which I do, I don't try to push it. I stay as long until I reach a certain point of heat in my head. And if I don't, I'm going to be out there on the ground with another heat stroke. I've had a couple of heat strokes in my younger days, and don't push it. If you get this feeling dizzy and you're hot, get out of the, stop what you're doing. I didn't, and ended up, I'm paying for it in my old age, because a lot of other people that my age that I've spoke to about having heat strokes in younger days we're all having big time issues with any kind of heat now. Just a little information on that one. But anyway, so back to, I can imagine you leading a meditation session. I have several times, and I'm open. I still want to do a sweat lodge here again. I'm cleaning up an area that I have my own fires and ceremonies, but and the offer is open to anyone who wishes to contact me and come here. It's an open invitation. Just respect. Just put my plants in the mini greenhouse. Yeah, potatoes and dill for me today. Sounds like a good meal, Melanie. Yes, Cherry. The reasons I'm doing these videos is because of the self-awareness. I was told by my spirit guide to do these videos to help myself heal, because of my being in a wheelchair 4 or 5 years ago and what they did to my brain. And this is proof to me and proof to everybody else. Listen, I was a slobbering fool. I was having grand mal seizures. They had me on meds. They had me on this, and I don't take any of that shit anymore. And I'm standing up as 4 years later, stronger than I was then. So I'm trying to show you all, listen, if you've given up, well, that's your fault. And stop that. It's what you feel inside. Did I think I could make it as far as I did yesterday? Well, I knew I could, but I knew it was going to be, but still got back. Everything was fine. Rested for 20 minutes and was ready to get back in the canoe, not to get on the river part, but to just paddle around lazily on the lake, just to sit on the water. But to the point, though, I realized in myself that as long as my arms and legs aren't broken and I can still move a muscle, then I'm not done yet. And I've realized that years ago when I had that drowning experience, and when I had that experience of 3 days on the river with, less than a quart of water and no food. I walked with the spirits during that time, and they showed me what endurance was. They showed me where to get energy and sustenance from the universe just by breathing it in and believing that you can be energized by simply breathing in the air. Well, when you're down on the river and in the swamp and in beauty and all that kind of stuff, it's real easy to breathe in the energy of the universe, because it's just really present. You know what I mean? And the egrets are flying overhead, and oh man, it's great. I got a really short video I'm going to try to put up, and then so y'all can at least see what I'm talking about being down on the river. It's only about 2 minutes long. Anyway, the idea is, though, that when I decided, Cherry, not to give up, and that I realized in a lot of ways I had already given up, yeah, this awareness thing, but it's still growing in me, the awareness of, well, I knew this, but I haven't really been practicing it. The river is 15 miles south of me, 30 miles round trip. For some people, that might be a lot. For me, it's really a hop and a skip, because, 2 stop signs and I'm there. I mean, literally 2 stop signs and I'm there. But the idea, though, that not practicing what I quote preach, in other words, meaning, I knew the water was there, but I really need even for my own self as a dragon, as a water dragon, I hadn't been going to the water as I should have, simply for healing. Well, yeah, it's there. I know it's important, but I hadn't been practicing just going down and just sitting on the riverbank. Nothing special, no kayaking, no. But I had somehow omitted water out of what my current reality was. Knowing I needed it, boy, I was staring at my kayak. I need to get back on the river. Need to get back on the river. Kept coming up with excuses, and all the excuses were self-imposed up here. It was part of the confusion brought on by other things, but also it was tangling up my brain. Well, I don't know, Hawkeye, are you strong enough to go out there on the lake by yourself? Or, should you go and get on the water by yourself? Well, crap, I used to do it all the time. Well, I now always wear a flotation device thing, so I'm not that stupid anymore. Um, but no, and do I take protection like sunscreen, or I wear long sleeve shirts. Wear long pants. I don't do shorts and a t-shirt and a kayak. You're going to get fried. My friend, when he came off of the river yesterday, he was that color right there. And me, I got a little red face, but I had my big floppy hat on, and because I know how to be in the wilderness and in the swamp, so I've been at this a long time in that respect. But the thing is, it reinvigorates me every time I go. For every time I go down the river, I was telling my friend yesterday, I said, we went to town the other day, and I noticed that there was a new store on this building that had been vacant forever. Not that they couldn't build something, but all of a sudden it was just there. And I said, I can come down here on the river, and that tree, unless it's fallen in, will always be there. I mean, the curves, the twists, the this, the that. After 2 or 3 years of not being on certain parts of the river, I could still remember it. It was still there. Minor alterations, the sand's a little different, the bank's a little higher, whatever. But to the fact that I could still remember it. I go into town sometimes and go, who the hell changed this neighborhood? And I want to say sometimes it feels like a Mandela effect. But I go out into nature, and even after 6 months or so, I go back and go, I can still find my way around. I'm not lost out here. And I'm 4 miles down the river, and in the middle of the swamp. I'm not lost. I'm perfectly fine. I know where I'm at. I know how I feel. Oh, wow. And the awareness of all of the above. And in my case, for example, since I'm kind of sort of on this topic at the moment, it looks like it's going to be an hour now. It's going to try to shut down at 45 minutes. But in this realization of me being on the swamp yesterday, we went underneath the railroad tracks, a big train trestle, big, huge thing across the swamp. It's several hundred feet long, and telephone poles and steel and all kinds of stuff. And anyway, so I'm hanging out underneath it, and looking at all the trestles and so forth, and seeing the age of some of the beams. And I look over to the bank, and I notice there's just about a 4-foot long piece of concrete. What looks like concrete. It also looks like a tree fort. So my friend's fishing, and I back up and I go over here to this little place, and sure enough, there are concrete steps coming out of the river up onto the bank, and then they stop, and there's a post, and there's a ring at the top, and there's a piece of cable attached to it. And sure enough, not far up the bank a little bit is an old tree house. Up tree over like this, there's boards, there's things hanging. And now here's the thing. I've been down that stretch of river a bunch of times, and I saw the forest, and a concrete slab in the middle of the swamp is like an out of place. But when you're looking at just the swamp, you don't see individual things. So I noticed yesterday that when I allow my eyes to find things, I see more than just trees. I see more than just the forest. There are individual things out there. So my point to you in this long conversation is they may be sitting right dead in front of you for years, and the answer might be right there for you. Or a new surprise, a new adventure, a new something. And, me and my friend got out on the bank and looked at it. It was like, man, this thing's been here forever. All the times I've been through that area, I never saw that tree house. I never saw, and I still don't have a clue what the concrete steps are doing down there. There's no other indication of anything else. And it's in the swamp, I'm telling you. No house thing. Nobody would have built a house there because of flooding. It floods above that bank all the time. So, but there's a mystery, but there's something else. There are things in the swamp that even some of us who've been there a long time, how'd that get there? When did that arrive? Has it always been there? Just never looked. You were looking at all the trees, but you weren't looking at little things in the trees. So in my own reality, I'm like, wow, I'm always paying attention to things. And I asked myself yesterday, how come I didn't see this before? I've been through her. I looked for these kinds of anomalies. How come I didn't see it? Don't know. Interesting that I did. And that even after all the times of being up and down the river, of all the times of being there, of all the times of, quote, being aware myself, I'm still finding treasures that are right in front of me. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Blessings, y'all. I've been on here longer than I was anticipating. And Cherry, I didn't mean to, I hope you didn't think that I was trying to discount you in any way. But some of these things I have been aware of for a long time. They've kind of, in experience wise, I need to get back on the river. I need to push my boundaries. I need to do that. Where before I'd go, well, I don't know if I could make it. I just jumped on the river and did it and said, well, I'll get back one way or the other. So I hope you know that I cherish what you say, Miss Cherry. I do. Let me just last couple of. I recommended Hawkeye Channel to many of my border security friends that are in bad emotional shape. Well, blessings to you, Pamela. Thank you, Cherry. Thank you very much. But in part of what you said, though, is that these are the things that I've overcome. And I'm not trying to brag about them. I'm proud of myself because otherwise I'd still be in a wheelchair. And I don't want to be in a wheelchair. If you hate a situation bad enough, then make up your mind to say, I'm going to change it. And my friend came over yesterday and I could have said, no, I got to work in the garden. Nah, today, he said, want to go to the river? I said, when? He said, how fast can you pack? 15 minutes later, we were headed down the road. And I've never left that quick in my life to do anything, hardly, especially waking up and barely getting a cup of coffee in me. But the thing is that it's those kinds of incidents that we say, well, the garden didn't go anywhere. I still did my things. I fed the chickens when I got back and all that kind of stuff. But to the point, though, I needed to just do something just out of my normal patchwork quilt of down here on the property. And not that I'm bored. I go for walks and check out things. So I'm not bored around here at all. But going to the river and being on the water and having that energy is just so much more invigorating. There's just so much more to it. It's an added bonus with nature, if you will. And because the river in my backyard is so clogged up, backed up, and won't flow anymore, what I used to get going in my own backyard, okay, I got to drive 15 miles to go see, but it's worth it. And so anyway, blessings, 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 blessings. Pamela, always blessings to you. When I was down on the river yesterday, there were several times you all went through my mind. And I don't know if you got these cosmic pictures of being out on the water with the swamp critters and the cranes and the blue herons, but I was dang sure sending y'all mental pictures, going right down the list right here with Michelle and Cherry and Pamela and Breaking Dawn and everybody. And Cindy, hey, many hugs back to you. So I'm going to cut this off. Not that it's short. I got a couple other topics I'd like to talk about later on. So hopefully we can all get together again. But remember, there are a lot of people who are a part of this league of like-minded beings. There are a bunch of us out there. And a lot of folks are just quiet, doing their thing, but they're still on our side. They're still with us in our thoughts. They still want better things for nature, for people, for peace. They're out there. And I say that instead of looking for the bad guys, we need to pay attention, but we need to continue our search, if you will. That's really kind of a bad, search isn't really it. Allowing other people of like-minded beings, allowing other folks to say, come on in, just hang out with us. Come on in. Let's see what we can do here. But when we allow ourselves to be a part of the confusion overtakes us and we lose who we are. So maintain who you are, my friends, my family, my beautiful, wonderful friends across this planet. Keep it up. Keep up the good work, because we are having an effect. It may not be seen on the outside, but it's there. And don't let anybody fool you. It's there. Because the reason they're ratcheting it up is because there are folks who are tuning out their confusion. They are going back to the religion of Creator. Do no harm. So, my friends, close with a prayer. I continue always to pray for you, your friends, your family, all your relatives, and all of your relations, that you will continue to accept and receive the healings from the universe. I continue to pray each and every day that you, your friends, your family, friends, relatives, and relations will continue, when you accept the knowledge and the healing and the wisdom from the universe, that you will continue to share. I continue to pray that each and every one of us will continue to accept and receive these wonderful gifts from the universe, from the quantum universe that's faster than the speed of light. No, that's for another discussion. But my prayers are always that you will continue to share your love with, especially with the people who need it, with the League of Like-Minded Beings. And I am your humble servant here in South Georgia, Pamela. What time? I'm not sure. It'll be after dark later on this evening. I'm going to try to stay out of other YouTube live streams, so I might it'll be after 8, maybe 10, 11 tonight, maybe. I'm going to try to be back on. I'll try. But you asked that. Love you, Hawkeye. Thank you, Pamela. Love back to you. And Cherry, love and peace. Just keep it up. What? If there were not, we could not have come so far, in gratitude. And see, you all help me too, because there are times when I think, well, I don't know if any of this is, making any difference. And I don't want, I guess, to have 200K subscribers, but that's not the issue. The issue is, let's have you and I have this conversation. Are we making a difference? And it isn't about the numbers, but it is. I mean, we want everybody to become aware of the League of Like-Minded Beings. And so, but my point to that is, though, that they're a part of the League, whether they know it or not. And that's encouraging. And so rather than worrying about whether or not they've joined our club, realize that there are a lot of people that already have. We just don't see them. Not in this reality, not in this digital reality. So blessings, blessings, blessings. Thank you, Pamela, again. Cherry, Cindy, Michelle, Breaking Dawn, whoever else may be on, my blessings to you continuously, and keep up the good work. And so if you know what this means, you're working for the cause. Blessings to all of you. And until later, my friends, my family, adios from South Georgia, as we say in the crazy land, TTFN.